the Property Pod. Welcome to the Property Pod with Moneyweb. The property sector is an ever-changing sector. And in this podcast series, your host, Suren Naidu, chats to movers and shakers in the property industry.
Hello and welcome to the Property Pod right here on Moneyweb, South Africa's premier property investor podcast. On this weekly show and vodcast, we speak to leading CEOs, entrepreneurs, developers and analysts to get the inside track on South Africa's real estate sector. ATTAC, which is behind the Waterfall City mega development in Gauteng, announced a 700 million rand investment into a new conference center and hotel linked to Mall of Africa. But the investment has been talked about in the market a little bit, even though officially announced now. It's almost an open secret, one would argue. And my guest on the podcast is Gary Kutzer. He's the CEO of what's being dubbed the Waterfall City Conference Center and Hotels. And those in the industry, in the conference industry that is, will know that Gary is also the CEO of Century City Conference Center and Hotels, the highly successful development within the precinct in Cape Town. And he joins us now because his company is a joint venture partner with ATTAC on this new announcement. Welcome to the Property Pod, Gary.
Thanks, Suren. Thanks for having me.
Gary, how did this come about? Were you looking to expand into Gauteng and out of Cape Town, or did ATTAC approach you?
It actually started many years ago, pre-COVID already, when we were hosting numerous conferences at our center in Cape Town. And it came from many of our clients that were saying, they were impressed with our facilities down here in Cape Town and the experience. And they were saying, when are we opening up in Johannesburg? And it was just coincidental that at the same time that we got introduced to some of the people from ATTAC. They were visiting Cape Town and looking at various properties, and we got talking. And in fact, pre-COVID, we had already looked at 2 or 3 different sites within the Waterfall City precinct. And then COVID happened, and we all know what that meant for the tourism and hospitality sector, and specifically the event sector. So the whole deal essentially just went dead. And then after COVID, when the events industry bounced back, and it bounced back a lot quicker than what I think everybody expected, and everybody started to realize that us humans are built for human connection, and the much talked about Zoom and Teams meeting and online conferences and hybrid conferences started to fall away, and everybody very quickly started to realize that if they wanted to get back in a room, you can't build team morale, you can't sell product, etc. You can't create company culture online or on a Zoom platform, Teams and so on. And so as soon as the industry bounced back, which it did, we reignited those conversations with the ATTAC group. And as they say, the rest is history.
Okay, so it's a long, almost stop-start partnership there. It's interesting to hear you say that you were looking at opportunities anyway, and this had come about. But from my insight, it seemed that Cape Town bounced back much faster than even Johannesburg or other parts of the country from a conferencing and events perspective. But we'll get to how the conference industry is doing in a sec. Can you give us some insight? We have a story on it up, but some insight into the scale of this Waterfall City Conference Center and what's cool about it, what innovations, the size of the product, both the conference center and hotel, and the kind of investment that's going in there.
Sure. It's very similar and based off a very similar model to Cape Town and to our conference center in Century City. Can accommodate up to about 1,300 people in one venue at any given time, and 2,000 delegates across numerous venues. So you've got your 3 main big halls, each of around 380 square meters each. A large foyer space, which is ideal, over 800 square meters for your exhibition. As you may know, the convex model has become most popular over the last couple of years, which is the combination of the conference with the exhibition. And then numerous meeting rooms for breakaways ranging from 10 to 15 seaters right up to the biggest, about 70, 80 people, and then another 400 square meter venue, which is also ideal for smaller 200 to 300 people events. Yes, similar to Cape Town with the business sort of lounge offering, which is for all your catering. And then a little bit different to what we have in Cape Town is we've actually put the hotel on top of the conference center. So there we've got 180 rooms, and a level of apartments for longer stay corporate guests. And then we also think that we may attract some weekend leisure business people just wanting to get away for a night or two. So we've incorporated a swimming pool, a spa, a gym, which has become most important for the corporate travelers. And then we're literally clipping onto the Mall of Africa. So what's nice about that is we are utilizing the efficiencies of the parking structure that is already pre-built. So we have access to over 800 parking bays at any given point. So with direct access from the conference center from the parking into the conference center and into the hotel respectively. So that's pretty much the offering. And then as we've come to learn being Cape Townians is you can't do a development in hospitality in Johannesburg without an open air deck of some sort. So we've got the most beautiful open air deck overlooking the views of Johannesburg with fire pits and pergolas and bars and pizza oven, etc. So for those looking to avoid the traffic before the end of the day, it's quite a beautiful open air deck, which, as I say, can accommodate probably 350 people.
Well, who knows? You might have weddings and that sort of thing, not just mass events or meetings, events, and conferences. Gary, your partnership with Attack, is it a proper joint venture in terms of the investment being a co-development? Can you share some insight on that? Or is it you going to be the operator and Attack will actually put the money in?
Yeah, so we're the operator. However, our partners in the operating company, the Rabi Property Group, they are also doing a joint venture with Attack. It's a 75%, 25% split. And yeah, it's a real three-way joint venture, if I could say, because you've got Attack, you've got the Rabi Property Group, and then us as Waterfall City Conference Center and Hotel signing a 10-year lease. So it's really all three parties being like-minded, coming together and realizing the opportunity and the potential of a conference center and hotel in that part of Johannesburg. And it's a solution for all three.
So Rabi is also involved in Century City, and it's a big name in the business. I know you're not necessarily speaking on behalf of Rabi, but you have a relationship with them with your Century City Hotel, which has been tremendously successful. Is this their first investment in Johannesburg or outside Cape Town? Do you know?
In Johannesburg, I think it's their first one as the Rabi Property Group. I think maybe in the early years, they've been around for a long time. They may have had some smaller and other developments many years ago, but certainly I think it's their first investment in Johannesburg as the Rabi Group, certainly for the last 10 years that I'm aware of.
Mm. And it sounds like an odd question, but why Waterfall City? Was it an obvious choice to come into Waterfall City?
I think there's many similarities between Century City and our experience within Century City and Waterfall City. And again, working with the Attack group, which has been an absolute pleasure. They've got similar desires as what and vision for their city as what we have for Century City, whereas a conference center is driving that footfall to a node, and often a footfall that would not normally come to a different footfall that maybe wouldn't normally come to that node. So if in the past you were going for shopping, or if you were staying in the area or working in the area, you would go to a node. But a conference center often drives foot traffic that would not necessarily be coming to that particular area, and the knock-on effect is significant. Waterfall City, you just have to go there and have a look at what's happening to really be encouraged, not only with hospitality, but with South Africa in general and just the South African economy. It's just it's really amazing to see what's happening there, and located on just off the highway, easy access between Johannesburg and Pretoria. safe and secure. And then, as I said earlier, it's got the Mall of Africa, which is providing that energy to the city. You've got a lot of your top corporate companies that have moved there. You've got massive head offices, whether it be Deloitte, PwC, Cipla, just to name a few. And those are already clients of ours down here in Cape Town. So again, it just made sense. And this morning already chatting to some of our clients, they're saying cannot wait to make use of your facilities in Johannesburg. And that was the idea, is really that we have an offering now that we can offer our existing clients in Johannesburg. Most of them and a lot of them were saying, when are we opening? When are we open for a long time? When are we taking the same offering to Johannesburg? And so, that's now finally materialized.
Just a time frame in terms of when construction is going to begin and when this new Waterfall City property is going to open.
So we've been working behind the scenes for quite a few months in parallel with various transaction agreements. So we're very lucky to really hit the ground running. Although the announcement is now today, we're hoping to be in the ground within a month, maybe 2 at the latest. So I would say by June at the latest, we'll be in the ground. And hoping to be complete by the end of December next year and opening in January of 2028.
Now, Gary, as I said, Century City has been tremendously successful. I know that one of the big events I attended a few years ago was the Green Building Convention that in the early years used to be hosted at the Cape Town International Convention Center. So you've taken away a bit of business, even though the CTIC is doing very well. Give us an update on the Century City property, maybe a little bit on the scale. I know my colleague Simon Brown spoke to you about the hotel aspects there as well a few years ago. But can you give us an insight on how that property is doing and the scale? Because you've got a couple of hotels there now linked to that convention center.
So the conference center is doing extremely well. Like the Green Building Council that you attended, they've been back every year ever since. And their conference numbers have also grown every year ever since. And that's, I think, been the part of the success story is the repeat business is as conferences and events and exhibitions finish one year. So we've been very lucky to sign them up for the next year and sometimes even 2-3 years at a time. The events industry in general in South Africa is doing incredibly well. Cape Town with Westcrow and the air access, we've been very fortunate to have the planes are landing from around the world and the number of flights have increased, et cetera. So, Cape Town as a destination has done us huge favors in terms of putting us on the global map for conferences and events. And then, as you know, everybody always tries to extend by 2 or 3 days or arrive 2 or 3 days earlier, which also benefits us from accommodation point of view. So we started with our one hotel, the Century City Hotel Urban Square, 125 keys. And just pre-COVID, actually, we decided to add on another 98 rooms or add on another 98 bedroom hotel overlooking the old Ratanga Junction theme park. And so there's 98 rooms we opened probably about 4 years ago now. And we planning a third hotel under our umbrella, literally within 50 meters from the conference center. So the conference center is doing exactly what it was supposed to do, which is to drive the footfall, drive the hotel occupancies, drive the footfall into the surrounding restaurants, the shopping mall, etc. So all stakeholders really within the area benefit. It's also attracted a lot of more corporate companies. So you've got the likes of Cipla Pharmaceuticals that have just moved their head office into Century City. You've got ABSA, you've got Discovery, you've got some of the biggest names in the country that have all moved their corporate offices here. So, Century City is another beautiful success story. And the conference center is driving a lot of that foot traffic. And as I say, with more hotels to come, which will drive the demand, conference center is driving the demand, which is driving those bed nights.
Well, the former CEO of Attack is actually now the CEO of Hyprop, and Hyprop owns the Canal Walk shopping center in that precinct. Is Vodacom still down the road there? I think their regional office is also in Century City.
Absolutely. They are just around the corner.
Okay, so more business from corporates from that perspective. Gary, before you go, Is the group looking to expand beyond those two sites? Obviously, it's early days. Johannesburg still needs to open, but would you consider expanding in other parts of the country or Africa?
We are looking at various opportunities already, as we've just also formed the newly formed umbrella brand, African Rain Collection. So that allows us and gives us the vehicle to expand. So underneath the African Rain Collection brand, we'll have the Century City Conference Centre and hotels, the Waterfall City Conference Centre and hotel, which will hopefully become hotels as well. And we expect it to become hotel. We'll to add the S on there within the next year or two. And that does allow us the opportunity, and it gives us the vehicle to really grow the business. There are one or two specific strategic locations that we believe our model will work really well in, and where our existing clients will also be attracted to go to those locations. So yes, we are looking at many other opportunities. We have been approached by some other independently owned hotels to take over the management and operation and marketing of those properties. So we are looking at other opportunities. And yes, to answer your question, certainly this is not the end of the growth for the group.
So you're going to grow into more of a hotels group as well. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, we've got the African Rain Collection brand, which is more of a silent brand. We prefer, just our model prefers to focus more on the destination like Century City or Waterfall City. But certainly, yes, that what you're hearing is correct. That is the plan. But we'll first nurture the newborn baby that we've announced today and get that up and running, and then start looking at other opportunities.
Well, expansion beyond your big new development at Waterfall City. It's interesting that there is still space for these conference centers to open, considering the established ones in the CBDs. And, in Johannesburg, you have Liberty and I think they sold it recently with the Sandton Convention Center. But in KZN, I know Sibaya Node is also looking at a conference center. But Gary, we will need to catch up at maybe when the conference center opens in Waterfall City. Thank you so much for your time. That was Gary Kutza, the CEO of Century City Conference and Hotels, as well as the upcoming Waterfall City Conference Center and Hotels.
Thanks for listening to the Moneyweb Property Pod with Suren Naidu. To listen to more episodes, go to moneyweb.co.za or the Moneyweb app and follow Moneyweb News for daily updates. Follow Suren on Twitter @Suren Naidu for more of his property industry content and other business stories.